good button pushing. Wednesday, December 16th. Regular class, we're going to get into the end of Shadow Club and all the things that happen with death and destruction and poor choices and stuff like that. As we get into it, if you have questions, that's fine. I'm going to try it. I think I'll cover all of them as we go through and talk about it, but we'll find out in a moment. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully you've read to the end. If not, then we will give some stuff of it coming away. See from where we... Oh, on here, blah, blah, blah. Test tomorrow. Pick up notebooks by Friday. I think that covers it. Focus. There we go. It's also on my website for your notebook, and as I mentioned earlier, make sure you have put dates and titles and page numbers, because as I've started grading them already, it's been hurting kids' grades, dropping them a whole letter grade as they don't put dates and titles and page numbers. Hopefully you're smarter than that. Then Shadow Club. Let's go from there. Let's see. And then to that too. First thing, from where we left off, Vera Bradley, something happens to her, and I believe it was her bicycle. Riley?
Her bike brakes didn't work, and she went down a hill.
Nice. The brakes break. Was it an accident that the brakes break?
No.
Yes.
No. Apparently it is not an accident that the brakes break, and then she goes down a hill. But does she land safely at the bottom?
Yes.
No. And she gets down to the bottom with the broken brakes, and what happens to her? Joelle?
She hits her head
Hits her head on a fire hydrant. I think the bike went through like a window.
Yeah.
Bakery. And the big cakey goes and goes all the different directions, and that would be awful. And then who is it? The Shadow Club blames
Tyson.
Tyson obviously did this one too. Tyson's a horrible person. Jared takes it upon himself to confront Tyson, because he's like, she could have died, and then we'd be to blame for it, and it'd be awful. So Jared confronts Tyson in the hallway. When he confronts Tyson in the hallway, does Tyson admit to what he did? No, he's a tough cookie, and he's like, you don't get me to admit it. And so he continues to fight, say it wasn't him. Jared gets upset, and because Tyson won't admit to it, Jared announces something in the hallway. What does he announce? The whole bedwetter thing is like, listen, obviously since you're not holding up your part of the bargain because you told someone, because who did Tyson tell? Mr. Green. And he's like, and you're trying to get revenge on us by framing us for these other things, then I'm not going to stick to my end of the bargain, so I'm going to start telling everyone. So he yells, bedwetter, and Tyson apparently does not take being called a bedwetter well, so he goes running from the school, screaming and running away. Jared goes, I think, from there to track practice.
Yeah.
Where they hand out the new uniforms. And Jared has a surprise on his uniform. Maddox? It says Gopher on it. Because who helped set up the uniforms?
Austin.
And so Austin had Gopher put onto it. And does Jared take that well?
No.
Not even a little bit. Does Austin apologize?
No.
Kind of.
No.
That wasn't
Not a real. He says something like an honest mistake.
That wasn't an apology.
That's not enough. How do you go from Mercer
It's sort of like, does Austin offer to shake his hand?
No.
Yes.
But
Because
that's
it's
still
not-
not. But then he says, "Be a good gopher."
See, he's just not good at apologizing. He tried. He's like, and does Jared agree to the apology? No. So what does he choose to do? He goes all attacky on him. But apparently when he goes all attacky on him, what do the other kids see him doing? He apparently looks like Tyson, which does not make Jared even better. He's like, hiss, hiss, and my fur stands up on his back. He has all kinds of issues, and the screaming, and the yelling, and the angry. And that's when the coach comes in, and he's like, you can't beat up Austin. We love Austin. And he's like, I don't love Austin.
That coach is such a man.
I know, coaches, they're the worst. Then
This is what Coach Mary
I'm the worst.
No, I said you're a coach. But I mean, if you think you're the worst.
I am. I'm not denying it.
Except for Coach Marjolin, who teaches basketball.
Oh, God. Don't even say this part. I hate you.
So, from shortly after the issue, simmer down. the whole gopher incident, and by the way, now that you have finished the book, you see why this happens right after the gopher incident. Right after the whole gopher incident, Austin goes for a run, as he does every morning, and this time while he runs, surprise! What is the surprise for him while he runs? Big, sharp, jagged rocks are out there in the little area that he goes running across, which normally not a big problem to go running across with the rocks, but why is it a problem for him?
He's barefoot.
He's got no shoes on. Apparently, I don't know, his cockiness. I'm too super special. Or he's just, I don't know, closing his eyes when he runs. Who knows? But he doesn't see him because of issues. And he goes running across, and things happen. What happens to Austin? Cut open all scablidity into his feet.
Was it really that much of a big deal?
Breaking his ankle, is that what happened?
Yeah, he broke his ankle.
Breaking his ankle, and to make things even worse, who's right there to witness it? Jared. Who's the first one to get there? Jared. Who gets the blame for it? Jared. Because he comes running up there, and of course, like, well, obviously you had to know about it because you were right there. And he's like, I'm innocent. And does anyone believe him? No. Not even a little bit.
It's a football field.
Yeah, they were. Remember, he runs across the football field, the same path every day.
Yeah, no, I know, but I thought there's like the football field is like
covered in rocks. Yeah, it makes it tough for the football players. It toughens them up.
Just listen, the area where you get off the field, and then there's just like a schoolyard where you run.
It's a
through.
track.
No,
There's a
just
track.
running across the middle of it. You had high hopes. It was nice, but yeah, no, not so much. Then after the whole rock incident, who ends up confronting Jared?
Tyson?
Not Tyson.
No, the principal.
Mr. Green calls him in. He's like, hey, apparently you're running a gang of thugs and hooligans. And Jared's like, we're innocent. And Green's like, I believe you. Obviously you're innocent. And forgives him and says everything is good. Not even a little bit. What does Green declare he has to do?
Kill him.
What?
You're going to have to stop talking to the kid who's not ready. Yes?
Yes, to let Tyson join the...
That was a long time
That was
ago.
a long time.
This is
ago.
actually
last time you shut it down.
Shut it down.
Admit to guilt.
Admit to guilt.
And...
He wants Jared to go do something then.
Apologize.
He wants it to other people, the other members.
She's got a sharpened pencil right behind you. You'll never see it coming. It's like twice right in the spine. You'd be like, I just can't move all of a sudden. So it was like, I don't know what happened. Nicely on the idea that he says, hey, you're going to need to bring all of the different kids and bring them in here. Because what is it Mr. Green wants to do?
Kill.
Kill the gang.
Bring them in so you can talk to them. He's like, we're going to have to be suspended. That bad things are going to happen to you.
The rebels.
And because you're apparently the rebels, just yelling out loud whenever you want to. Yeah. Jared then goes out to get them. Does Jared go and collect the Shadow Club?
No.
Yes. Does he bring them to Mr. Green?
No.
That'd be silly. What does he tell them to go do?
Leave. To Stonehenge.
Run away and go to. He's like, run away! And so they all run to Stonehenge and flee because when the principal says, come to my office, the next best choice is run from the building, which is what they do, and they run far, far away to Stonehenge, collect together, and the Shadow Club knows who's responsible for all of this. Because who's responsible?
Tyson.
Obviously, Tyson. And so they decide that the best way for them to clear their names and to not get in trouble is to have Tyson confess. But no one has seen Tyson since he ran from the school earlier because someone kept saying, you're a bedwetter. So where is it they suspect he is?
Lighthouse.
At home. And where's his home?
Lighthouse.
The lighthouse. And so they go over to the lighthouse to go up and meet with him. And is Tyson there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is anyone else there? No. And so it's just Tyson, and they confront him. In the confrontation, yelling at him, Jared reveals something to the rest of the Shadow Club about Tyson. And what do they find out?
Rubber bed sheet.
Rubber bed sheets, which means he's a wee bit of a peer. And so then they also they find out something about his marionettes. They find his collection of dolly things. But there's something a little different about the dolls.
They're them.
They're them who? All the marionettes are made to look like people from the Shadow Club. And some other random kids and some teachers because he likes to spread the creepy around. And so they're like, that's super creepy. And he's like, it's not creepy, they're my friends. Like, that does not make it better. And so they decide to try and make him confess. So where are they going to take him? Stonehenge, otherwise known as Torture Pit. And so they bring him to Torture Pit. And not only do they bring Tyson to Torture Pit, what else do they bring? They bring all the marionettes with him too. And so his only friends.
It's not really
And
deep.
so they, what happens to the marionettes in the process of him being interrogated?
Shredded.
Because normally when you interrogate someone, you want to torture someone they love. But Tyson doesn't have anyone that he loves, so instead they torture the next best thing, which would be his friends. And who are his friends? Marionettes. So they torture the marionettes, like rip off an arm and rip off another arm. And I think they tie him to something. Is that what they do in their torture?
A tree.
They tie him, because that's what you need to do in life to get to the point where you're tying a kid to a tree. That's a good life choice. I've done that before. That's not a good life choice. And they tie Tyson to a tree while they torture him and rip off a little piece of the marionettes. Does Tyson finally commit? No. What? I forget.
They throw pine cones at him.
They do. Throw pine cones at him. And, ooh, doesn't Randall do something to him too?
They what? Oh, he spits at him.
Yeah, big
No,
ol'.
that was a baby. That was Jerry.
Randall wasn't there.
Jerry.
That was Jerry.
Jared spat on him like I'm later.
Okay.
Oh, that
The
like
old,
in the cove.
the Hawk
Well, they
Lady.
recognized
Well, that's coming up in a moment then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get
No,
there.
but Randall spat on him at like the very.
Okay, I thought I had.
This is not anything.
I know, right?
All right, back to focusing. So much fun stuff. All right, and so the torturing, and he won't do the confessing, and they're torturing all the marionettes, and he won't admit to it. So they did. So obviously, Torture Pit's not working. So we have to go somewhere else.
The beach.
So where are we gonna go instead?
We're gonna go make him drown.
They're gonna go take him down to the beach. Like, new location, field trip, and they take a torture field trip. And they take him down to the beach. And while we're at the beach, we find out something important about Tyson that he can't do.
Swim.
Turns out he can't swim, and the Shadow Club, of course, uses that against him because they're like, we love poor choices. And so they decide to torture him while he's there. While they're in the process of torturing him, someone shows up to surprise them. Who surprises them? Cheryl shows up. And Cheryl says it's an emergency because she needs Jared to go with her. And where does Jared need to go to?
The hospital.
The hospital. Because who's in the hospital?
The hospital.
Brother.
Randall. He's like, you have to come with me because Randall's in the hospital. But before Jared leaves, he gives the rest of Shadow Club a job. He says, what is it I need you to do?
Confess.
Get a confession out of Tyson. If he doesn't confess, what are they supposed to do? Yeah, basically kill him, drown him, throw him in the water, do something horrible. And they're like, all right, go team, go! And they're all excited. And then Cheryl and Sharon takes off, and then they go to shipping. They take off and go to the hospital. At the hospital, we find out Randall's there because
He's trying to fix that.
what is his original story for why he has to go to the hospital? He was playing basketball with
his friend Eric.
his friend Eric Kilfoyle. But why do we know that's a lie?
Because Eric
That is a
mortal
lie.
enemy.
Yeah, they hate each other, and Jared's like, you hate each other. That doesn't make any sense. He's like, oh, that's because it's a lie. And we find, and what happened to Randall? Why is he in the hospital? Because he broke his hip like an old woman. Because how did he? Fall now. I can't get. How did he break his hip? He was
Trying to steal
Going to
the
steal
basketball
something.
trying to steal the basketball hoop. Now, why was he trying to steal the basketball hoop?
to get back on Eric.
Not to get back at Eric for Darren. No, Jared.
You
Here you
get to
go.
be good at basketball.
Yeah, Darren, the basketball player, he's trying to get revenge. And he goes, it's all right. He's like, I was doing this. Because Jared's like, did you do all the other ones? He's like, wait, did Randall do the other ones? No. He's like, I didn't do them. But he's like, it's okay that I did this one. Because it's just going to get blamed on the person who did all the other ones. Because Randall knows who did all the other ones. Because who does Randall know did all the other ones? Tyson. He's like, Tyson did all the other ones. This one being thrown in, that's okay. And then Jared goes, light bulb. And all of a sudden something occurs. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And he tricks Cheryl into admitting something. And what does he trick Cheryl into admitting?
It meant that she put the Austin in.
She planted the rocks to get revenge. because she did the same thing, because Cheryl knows who did all of the other pranks, because who does Cheryl know did all the other pranks? Tyson. And all of a sudden Jared realizes who's innocent of all the pranks? Tyson. Because who did all the pranks?
The Shadow Club.
The Shadow Club. By secret, each one did a prank, not telling all of the other ones, and everyone else just thought it was Tyson. And Jared has one of those major, poop snacks kind of moments. He realizes this is not good because poop snacks is a thing. And he realizes he left the entire Shadow Club there with one thing. Because what is the Shadow Club supposed to be doing while he's gone?
Killing him. Chicken.
Getting him to confess or killing him. Can he confess to it?
No.
No. Why?
Because he didn't do it.
And Jared's like, that's not good. So he does his best flash. Pew! Takes off running. And then runs all the way back there. Gets to the beach. Are they at the beach?
No.
No, there's no one there. So where's he go next?
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. When he gets to Stonehenge, is Tyson there?
No.
No. But who is there?
The
Shadow Club.
The rest of the Shadow Club. And the Shadow Club is celebrating because they got a confession.
No.
Yes.
No, they're
Okay.
not.
That's something else.
They
No, they're
kind
not,
wait
bro.
because they got a confession that he did all the pranks.
No.
No. Now, in the process of, and so in the process of trying to get a confession about the pranks, turns out Tyson can't confess that because he didn't do it. But, oops-a-doodle, they do get a confession out of him because it turns out he has made poor choices. And what does Tyson end up confessing to?
He started the fire.
He's the one that started the fires in the school, burned down the gym, burned down the cafeteria, all those different fires. And as we get further into the book, we find out those were not his first fires. What was his very first fire that he did?
No, he didn't.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
The very first one?
His parents died in a fire.
Right.
That's why he
But
So that's why he hates. So that's why he's so like crazy.
I took it the fact that he accidentally started that fire.
No, it was
Yes,
just
they
a twinkie
died.
dink.
Just a twinkie dink. But they died in that first fire.
Yeah.
Why would he start the fire? That's what he said to Press.
Once again, not on purpose. He was a little kid, and little kids accidentally start.
Then why would he want
There's
to
no evidence.
It does not say that.
I know.
Hang on.
No, not see fire. He says his parents
Yelly
died in fire.
McGilmerson.
He hates fire, so he does more fires.
Hey,
So, to double check on you, one yelling at me, how does that change your argument between whether they died accidentally in a fire or whether he accidentally started the fire? Isn't that the same argument?
He didn't. What? I'm not confused. I don't get students.
I would say burn, but we're talking about fire since that's.
Dang! Oh my God! Oh! Get it! Shots fired! Oh my God!
I did take
Anyway.
classes from dropping fire.
Shots fired.
To learning. You guys are an interesting group. So, they do get him to confess the fact that he did all the fires. But once he admits to that, the Shadow Club does not take it very well. What does the Shadow Club decide to do to him when he admits about the fires?
tell us the green.
They decide to drown him. They're like, well, you's gonna have to die. And so that's when they chase him into the water, and then the waves hit him. And then what happens to Tyson? He dies. And that's when the waves hit him, and he stops breathing, and he does the whole floaty thing. Luckily, it's not a permanent death. Why is it not a permanent death? They do the whole CPR thing on him to bring him back to life. The whole 1, 2, 3, alive.
And then
and then the 1, 2, 3, blow, 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 and now he's alive. And so, as soon as Tyson comes back to life, he immediately thanks them for saving his life, and regrets all of his poor choices.
No.
No.
You lied.
What does Tyson do?
he runs up into.
Throws rocks at them. He's like, "You saved my life. Have a rock and another rock." He's like, "You rock." And then takes off running from there. So painful.
What's your skill?
Runs back to wait. Where does he run to?
His house.
His house, and goes back to the lighthouse on that one. And then that's when Jared's like, well, we need to go apologize. So they get to the lighthouse to go apologize. They realize we kind of screwed up. And they get to the lighthouse, and what has Tyson decided to do?
Fire!
Set the place on fire. The lighthouse is on fire. And so he lights the house on fire. And so when they're there, the whole Shadow Club runs in to try and save him because they all feel bad about what they did.
No.
No.
Jared.
Who runs in?
Jared.
Just Jared, because the other ones are like, yeah, not so much. When Jared gets inside, does he find Tyson inside?
No.
Nope. And then he realizes where Tyson probably is, which is?
His right.
His room.
And
But then,
he goes in the room. Is Tyson in the room?
no.
No. And so where's his next guess?
Kitchen.
Kitchen. Is he in the kitchen?
No.
Not there either. Where's the next guess?
The
Up the
light.
Up
lighthouse.
at the very top, and then he tries to open the door. Can he open the door?
No.
Yes.
After a while, before he can open the door, he has to do something to motivate himself.
He pushes instead of pulls.
And what does he do to motivate himself?
Oh my god.
He joins the PE club, the Wee Wee Club. And then he realizes, wait a minute.
Wait a
I
minute.
started it.
Was it the door? Did it push instead of pull, or did it pull instead of push? He went the wrong direction.
Yeah, he did push into the bowl.
And then he's like, oh, doors. And opens it up and then goes in there. Eventually finds Tyson at the very top. Tyson, very excited that Jared is there and thanks him for coming up to save him. Still not, no. How does
A piece of glass or
throws-
cardboard.
throws like a brick at him?
A brick.
A brick. And then
Part of a brick. He
throws also what at him?
Glass.
Glass, because it was part of a
Picture.
picture that he throws at him. And then that's when they finally get a chance to have a little bro bonding moment. Because what do they bond over? The fact that they're wee wee buddies. They're like, wee wee buddies. And they like, knuckle bump. And so everything's good. Bro tap. And everything is good. And then he's like, hey, let's not die because, dying sucks. And so they decide that they're going to not do the dying thing. But they're on top of a tower and fire. So what's the only way to live?
No.
And they jump. They land straight in the water.
No.
Where do they land first?
In the bushes.
In the bushes and the rumbling and the tumbling and then out into the water. But what do we find out about Tyson? He can't swim, so who saves him?
Jared.
And that's where Jared's like swimming and holding on to him, and I think Jared's afraid of like being attacked by a whale or something like that.
Shark.
Whatever, they're the same thing. Sharks. And so eventually they get back, and the Shadow Club, because they ended up admitting it, everything is fine, they don't get in any trouble, and everything is happy. No, not on that one either.
Almost.
So what happens to the Shadow Club at the end? Does the Shadow Club remain together?
No.
No. They have one final meeting, and who shows up to the final meeting? Cheryl, Jared, and Tyson. And what do they do at the final meeting?
Kiss.
Make out.
Kiss again.
There is a
We all scooch.
little smoochy part. I skipped that part. I was scared. But then they do burn the little piece of paper, and they throw it in there. And but Jared does have a new friend. And Tyson becomes his new friend, and there's like little bonding and stuff like that going on, and that's where we finally get to the end of it. Nathan?
But doesn't later in the book,
That's the second book.
oh, it is?
At the very end of this one, it does have the beginning of the second book. To give you a quick, I did put the second book on my website. If you go to the Shadow Club page, the ebook is on there if you want to read it. I will say, my personal opinion is that the second book is better than the first book. I would teach that one instead of this one, except that you don't understand the second book unless you've read the first book.
Why don't you teach it?
Because, well, I don't have enough time, because I only have so many things I can do with you guys, and I had to choose, and so that one lost out. But it is if you enjoy Shadow Club, you will definitely enjoy Shadow Club Rising, because it is the better of the two books. If you did not enjoy Shadow Club, you're not going to like Shadow Club Rising. It's not going to like magically make it better. But it's one of those things where it goes, you wouldn't think you could continue the story, because you're not going to do the Shadow Club twice, and yet it still happens. In a completely different way that makes sense and becomes even more awesome, it happens. And so that's on there. In a different way, but yeah, it kind of does happen again. If you want to, and that's where you find out that Jared's family adopts Tyson, and so it becomes like his brother and stuff like that. And so they become friends. It's adorable. And so they get to hang out and become friends and stuff like that. That does come up in the second book. Trying to help out. Bros.
Oh my god.
Was there anything I did not cover or questions you have from the book since we have going into tomorrow? I thought I tried to hit most of the things that you would have questions about.
What did I do to it?
Maddox.
At the end of the book,
Uh-huh.
whose parents, after they did all that, would let them sneak out and go to the
Yeah.
Stonehenges?
Obviously theirs.
Yeah, if their parents didn't have gas.
Well, I guess one, obviously theirs because it happened. But still, beyond that, I'm guessing he probably lied a little bit, or there's every chance that, well, back up. Did Jared do anything wrong?
No.
I mean,
Yes.
I mean, it goes back and forth. He did start the club, but did the Shadow Club originally do anything wrong?
No.
And it goes back and forth. I mean, they did put a snake in the thermos, and it's like, I mean,
Okay.
and they did and the spider died. And you could argue whether that's wrong one way or the other. And Jared was the leader of them, but of all the really bad pranks that got them in trouble, Jared didn't necessarily do those. Which, by the way, in the second book plays a big role because who gets all the blame for everything? Jared, because he was the president. So it's part of what you get into in the second book is the fact that even though he didn't do that stuff, he catches all the blame for it.
It's not fair.
Did he really
Jared didn't